Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more slug testing, and today we've got a very interesting combination to try out. We've never tested slugs through this gun or in this gauge as a whole, and there really isn't much out there on this particular type of setup. I know I've never tried it, so I'm definitely curious to see how it performs, because I may want to try and hunt with it within the next week or two as well. So hopefully it does well for us. But as for the shells we've got today, I managed to come across some of these. The Brenneke USA 28 gauge slugs. They are a 2 3/4 inch, 5/8 ounce slug moving about 1450 feet per second. And Brenneke slugs can be pretty tricky to come by sometimes anyway, yet alone the 28 gauge. I've wanted to test their 28 gauge and their 410, which I'm still tracking down, but when I saw these, I picked up all they had. I think I managed to find like 40 or 45 rounds of it. It isn't cheap. I think a 5-round box was like 16 bucks or something like that, but we're going to try them and see what they can really do, because it should give us some pretty interesting results. And if they're good enough, both accuracy and penetration wise, then I'm hoping we might be able to take a doe with it within the next week or two as well, since that would be a pretty interesting combo. I don't know that I've ever seen anybody hunt deer with a 28 gauge, personally anyway. But here's what one of those slugs actually looks like. Typical Brenneke style slug with the little raised nose cone piece. And they got the little tail wad as well that's stuck up in the rear of the slug. So very typical Brenneke stuff here, just 28 gauge. So these are definitely going to be pretty interesting to see what they can do. But for the shotgun we're going to run them through, I brought out my Tristar Viper 28 gauge. This one's got a 28-inch barrel on it. For the choke, we're going to go with a stock improved cylinder. That may or may not be what these slugs like best, but that's where we're going to start today. I do have a full set of chokes, so if you guys want to see kind of a what choke performs best with type of a test with these slugs, then let me know and we might bring some out here and see what choke they like best. But we're starting with an improved cylinder, and since I know somebody's going to ask, I am running the bead sight on the front, but I did just stick on a little True Glow rear sight fiber optic piece here as well, just so we have a little bit better than just our front bead up here. So it should work out perfectly well for what we are going to try and do with it. But as for today's test, we're going to do a couple things. That being, we're going to shoot a 25-yard group and a 50-yard group. If we're going to be hunting with these, it's a 28 gauge 5/8 ounce slug at 1450. I want to keep my shots inside of 50 yards on a deer, preferably 25 to 35 yards, and I think that's very doable and very reasonable for a 28 gauge slug to be able to take a deer with it. So we'll shoot a group at 25 and 50, see what kind of accuracy we get out of them, and I've got some water jugs lined up downrange here as well. Once we see where we're hitting and how accurate they are, we're going to step over here to the water jugs and take a shot through those as well to see what kind of penetration we get. Hopefully we can catch one of these slugs, see if it expands any or flattens out, and at least after we try this stuff today, we'll see if we can actually deer hunt with this combo or not, but I've got some decent hopes for it. So let's get you guys started with a view of our 25-yard target and our 50-yard target. All of the shots will be through the chronograph as well, so we can be getting our velocities. But let's start out here and see how accurate they actually can be at a couple different distances. Alright, so let's take a quick peek through our velocities real quick before we look at our target and move on to our water jugs. Boss claim was 1450. However, I don't think we were quite seeing that. And we do have a 28-inch barrel on that shotgun, so that's a little bit surprising. Our high was 1388. We had a low of 1334 with an average at 1354. Our extreme spread was 54 and our standard deviation was 19. So at an average of 1354, we're right at about 100 feet per second under their boss claim, and I definitely was hoping to see that 1450 because these shells are definitely on the lighter side for like a deer hunting slug or something. This is still plenty good enough to do the job at close quarters, but here are your energy numbers so you can see what we're actually pushing. It's good enough, but we do have to be a little bit careful and not push these out too far. I don't think penetration is going to be too much of a problem at this velocity, but we just don't have your typical like 12 gauge slug, just absolute hammer of energy either. So at least they're somewhat relatively consistent for velocity, but definitely a little bit below their boss claim. All right, so here's our targets, and really, the accuracy of them isn't too bad at all. It's absolutely good enough to take out on a deer hunt, that's for sure. We'll start over here on the left with our 25-yard target. All three of these are just about touching each other. This is with a bead sight with a tiny little fiber optic rear sight. That front bead covers most of this circle once you get out to 25 yards and beyond, so that's not bad at all. At 25 yards, we were getting a 0.88 inch spread. So just over 3/4 of an inch. I mean, that's a dead deer all day long at 25 with that combo, no doubt about it. So now we'll move over to the right with our 50-yard group, which are these 3 bullet holes right along in here. You can see we definitely have clear bullet drop, probably about 4 to 5 inches worth of it between 25 to 50. These aren't necessarily the greatest on ballistics, that's for sure. So we're gonna have to keep that in mind if we take a little bit longer shot. But ideally 25 to 30 yards, if we're going to deer hunt with these, we're right on the money. Still though, accuracy wise, this is not that bad at all. And it may kind of look like this one over here on the right started to yaw a little bit. I don't know if that's the case or if there was another bullet hole behind the paper that's already stuck on here or what. But these two over here, and of course all of our 25-yard ones, are all perfectly straight dead on bullet holes. But even out at 50 yards with a bead sight, we were getting 2.77 inches. So that is still absolutely gonna do the job as far as accuracy goes if you wanted to deer hunt or predator hunt or anything like that with these. So now we know we've got decent accuracy going on, plenty good enough for what I would want to do with them. But let's move over to some water jugs. We'll back up to, I'll call it about 30 yards or so. That'll be pretty average hunting distance if I take these on a deer hunt, and we'll see what kind of penetration we get and any expansion and stuff like that as well. Okay, so now I've got 6 1-gallon water jugs lined up here behind me. That should be enough to capture it. I'm expecting either 3 to 4 jugs worth of penetration is probably going to be about what we should expect here, but we could be surprised. These Brenneke slugs definitely penetrate way better than a typical lead Foster style rifled slug does, so who knows, we could be rather impressed. So now I'm going to step it over this way, about 30 steps or so. That's going to be roughly 30 yards, might be plus or minus 1 yard here or there, but right about 30 yards, I'm saying, is average hunting distance. And if we take a shot at 20 or 25, then we know we're going to be in the clear based on what we see here. So I'm going to go ahead and walk it back there, get you guys a view of these jugs, take our shot. Hopefully we can capture our slug and get a nice centered up hit. So let's see what kind of penetration these are capable of. All right, well, that was rather impressive. It was a good explosion for all the way out at 30 yards, and we definitely threw some jugs off. So we'll start over here with jug number 1 and 2. Both of them are completely destroyed. We did hit maybe just a touch low, but it was centered up down in the bottom of that first jug. Went through 1, went through 2. Now we'll move over here. Jug number 3 is also destroyed, and there is nothing in there. And you can see the slug kept on going through jug number 3 right there. Still plenty center enough. There's nothing in here. Jug number 4, not destroyed, but we definitely have a nice entrance down here and an exit on the back. And nothing in there. Jug number 5, have yet another entrance down here at the bottom. Started to maybe drift a touch to the right, but there is nothing in there either. And we did come out the back here as well. Into jug number 6, we continue to move to the right just a touch, but still we entered and exited out the back of number 6. But I think we started to tumble because we were pretty low down here, and it kind of tumbled, went right, and went up and out the back of number 6. So if we had a 7th or maybe 8th jug, we would have caught that slug, but we unfortunately did not catch it. And 6 jugs worth of penetration at about 30 yards, that's pretty impressive for a 28 gauge slug. Moving around here to the backside, I thought this might have been a piece of the slug for a minute, but it is not. It is just part of the little tail wad skirt piece off the base, just a plastic piece, no lead or anything like that here. It definitely broke off at some point and just kind of flopped off on the table back here, but our slug kept right on going out the back of everything. So I gotta say, I did not expect that kind of penetration right there. That's pretty impressive for a 28 gauge slug. That's absolutely capable of taking a deer, no doubt about it. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about those results right there? I really was hoping to catch that slug, and I thought for certain we'd catch it in like jug number 4 or something like that, but clearly we had 6 jugs worth of penetration. It went clean through them all, so that is definitely very impressive. I didn't expect that out of a 28 gauge, that's for sure. But a little lower velocity, maybe not as much deformation. I mean, it kind of does make sense, I suppose. So pretty impressive performance, but if you guys noticed, I haven't mentioned it until now, but my Tristar was not properly cycling those shells, which really surprises me for a Brenneke load. That gun has been perfect. Everything I've put through it, light field loads, heavy turkey loads, it's all done just fine. Everything is cycled, never had a jam at all. That gun is clean and oiled up, so that's not a problem. These shells just don't cycle very well, so we might have a single shot deer gun on our hands, but we clearly got enough penetration and a good enough accuracy performance to do it. So now the question is, do we deer hunt with these this fall? Just to see what they might be capable of. Let me know if that's something you might want to see. But leave all your thoughts down below. Is this about what you expected? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of the 28 gauge Brenneke slugs? And if so, what kind of results have you seen? Is this a combo you would use to deer hunt or predator hunt or hog hunt or maybe even home defense or something like that? Since I know some of you guys may end up using something like this for that as well. And have you ever hunted with a 28 gauge slug? And if so, how has it actually performed for you? And do you want to see us test anything else when it comes to 28 gauge slugs? Maybe run them through a few different chokes, see if we get any different accuracy results or not? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All the information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.